9 to noon continues on FM 100.3 KFAN, and welcome to the Vikings.com audience. We are into the penultimate segment of the Wednesday radio show, day one for Minnesota Vikings training camp. That has been the topic du jour today for 9 to noon. And we're super happy now to be joined by General Manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. What's new with your kids, and good morning?
Good morning, man. Oh man, it's great. They're both back in daycare now. So if you can see, I've got emergency next to me. I'm making sure I keep my immune system up. But they're doing great. It's been a great summer to spend time with them. They miss their dad, when he goes off to work now. But it's a fun thing because we've got to spend so much time together. My oldest is really into basketball, which is cool. He's now watching Michael Jordan highlights, so wow. I get to watch Michael Jordan highlights. His mom's got him on a great regimen. It's funny when I get home. I'm just like, this is the coolest thing ever. But and then the baby is now sleeping through the night. So if you can see, I probably look a little better than I had the past few months. But
the mustache is 10 to 10. I mean, you're grooming it. You're doing something different with your mustache, aren't you?
I got a great Seven takes good care of me. Yeah. He makes sure I look.
It's got
right.
a little Doc Holliday to it.
But no, it's been great to spend that time with my family. My wife does. It's just great to get time with my family.
Well, and how old's your oldest?
About to be 2.
Okay, so we're within 4 or 5 years of this, but it's going to happen. If he's watching Michael Jordan highlights right now, sooner or later, when he can cognitively start putting things together with seeing LeBron James, when you let him stay up late to watch a Lakers game, and what he's seen from Jordan, Dad, you're wrong. LeBron's better all time than Michael. What do you mean? Michael's better. Somebody's going to take a side there, and you guys are going to have an elite father-son conversation, right? You're sitting on that by starting him on the Jordan highlights.
It's hard because when you watch those Jordan highlights, you remember how cold that dude was.
Yeah.
Man, it's tough for me to believe, and I love LeBron, but. That dude's cold.
Well, then Granddaddy comes in and he's like, guys, Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain. I mean, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. Let's go back to the 80s,
Let's just appreciate everybody in their era, man. I'd love to watch those play a 5-on-5 game sometime.
The Chicago Bears, with whom you're quite familiar. So I don't know if they did this before. I don't think they did, but like Ben Johnson, the new head coach. I just saw Courtney Cronin with ESPN. She was at Bears training camp today. Their practice was 8:45 in the morning till 10:15. Yeah, what do you think of that? Like a morning practice before it's all hot and humid and everything. What do you think of that?
I try not to comment on what other teams are doing. I know that they've got a lot of smart people in that organization. I assume there's some intent behind why they're doing it. We're just going to take care of our business here.
Yeah.
I trust Kevin and Tyler to come up with how we practice and when we practice, and a lot goes into it. So we'll just focus on us. We got a great division. So Chicago, Green Bay, Detroit, and we got to do everything we can to gain every advantage we can.
And practice today, 2:30. Then you have the joints against the Patriots coming up August 13th and 14th. When you get to the cycle that has a vicious nature to it at times, but also a chill nature to it at times, and I think everybody who works within this league will recognize the blessing it is to be part of this league and just be part of a vicious meat grinder sometimes, or a surreal meat grinder, because the jobs are so unique. But that doesn't mean it's like easy, especially at a time like this. What do you guys look for players who just got back after basically nearly 2 months away? You got to be cautious, right?
Yeah.
Especially with heat.
We want to build them up, acclimate them, I guess is the term. But we were really excited about how guys came back. I think, as you start to build towards your season, I think guys know how competitive this is going to be. After 3 years here together, we've been able to assemble a group there's going to be competition in every single position group, as Kev told the team yesterday. And I think people approached the spring with that mindset, but also went home to their break knowing how they had to come back. So I think guys are come back in really good shape, and we just got to make sure that we acclimate and assess. Every thing we do, we've got great people, Dan Ridenauer, and all those people who are looking at the GPS data and all those different things to make sure that guys aren't showing any signs of fatigue or anything like that with injuries. So we got a great process. I think our football operations group is one of the best there is, and so we're going to have them watch and be mindful of how we schedule, and then also just monitoring the players as they go on.
Hey, Kwesi, sharing as much as you can when it comes to, because you mentioned Tyler Williams, and then we look at the voluminous nature of the players you signed in the offseason. So without going through the fries through Jonathan Allen, when you sign players who are coming off not just injury but season-ending injury, like what are some keys to signing off on those players who have been good during their careers, but that's what we most recently saw?
Yeah, it's a tough one because sometimes with the market, you think there's going to be a discount to that, right? A player gets hurt and maybe there's a discount. There's not always the case. Sometimes the market just doesn't give you that because, ultimately our job is to figure out how available is that player going to be. And we have some historical things that we look at to. It's not just about their injury health that year, but the previous 2-3 years, their college, their what else is going on in their body. So we try and look at it that sense. And then I loop in Tyler. Obviously, he looks at their play history. He calls the other trainers and talks about those different things. And we kind of go through it that mindset, and then it becomes a risk reward proposition for guys who are injured. He'll say, "Kwesi, is the talent worth it?" We'll talk to our group and say, "Is the talent worth it?" For somebody like Rondale Moore, it is.
Yeah.
Somebody that has. Had an unfortunate injury, but when he's healthy, he's shown a skill set that is something we wanted to bring in. So it's a nuancy thing. Obviously, you hope that the market would give you the chance to potentially get an opportunity with injury, but it's not always the case.
Right. Well, and playing the game of talking to people and you believe you can trust with other teams or formerly with teams, that can be a slippery slope too, right? Because they don't want you to go from 15 to 6 or 14 to 16. Right. They want to go from 7 to 10.
Yep.
So it's the like Andrew Barry's the first name I think of here, where it's like that could be the private Kwesi, I'm just going to square with you on. I'm going to be square with you on this and blah blah blah. That's the end of the deal, and you can trust it.
Yeah.
But that's not always the case, right?
It's not always the case, but hopefully if you're doing this right, you've got some. It's bigger than football relationships.
Yeah.
I've got enough of those. Or at Andrew Berry, my mom prays for him in her prayer meetings.
Wow.
There's people, Rand Carthon, I was just on his podcast. That's people that he's going to be in my life, whether I'm a GM or not. So people like that, I feel like, are playing the long game with you, and just as I am playing with them. And I've got enough people in my circle that I trust in that way, and also people who work here also have other people in their circle, so it's a bigger net.
Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, general manager for the Minnesota Vikings, 9 to noon. It's probably too early to answer this, but I was thinking about it. Punt returns. The Vikings haven't had a punt return touchdown since Marcus Sherrill's 2016 U.S. Bank Stadium against the Houston Texans. And it's not that punt returns have to be Dante Hall, Devin Hester-esque. That'd be great. It'd be HOF great. But, it's not – you don't have to get to the house to have it be more effective than it has been here in other places. So from a punt return standpoint, like how do you handle that into training camp? Is it just kind of a rodeo where, you're going to try out people and may the best man win?
Hat reminds the group very often that was the last punt return the Vikings have had. And, it's something that we've tried to address, schematically. We've tried to address with personnel, talk about something like Rondale Moore, who's explosive. So if it maybe doesn't need to be a Dante Hall, great call, by the way. He
Joystick.
was such an incredible player. But if it's blocked up right, do we have the explosiveness and the ability to house call it from that standpoint? So we're trying to make sure that it's not just about a house call. It's about flipping the field, maybe not always making our offense have to slog and changing field position and different things like that. We've added some guys, if you can see, in the undrafted free agency process and the draft process, and return was something we were considering. Ty Felton, somebody who's returned as well. So we're trying to focus on it. We want to be able to get to the place where, just like the run game, if it's blocked for 10, can we get guys who can get us 15, 20, and maybe one day bring us that house call?
Well, then you get to the kick return deal where touchbacks now go to the 35. And, there were so many touchbacks last year. It was just ridiculous. It was like a boring play became more boring, and they tried to put more excitement to it. So do you think that there will be as many touchbacks or markedly fewer because it's like conceding the 35.
Right.
It's not dramatically different than the 30, but it does make a difference, doesn't it?
It's a huge difference. I'm not entirely sure. I was obviously in the meeting room when they discussed the rule changes. What's hard is people avoid downside, right? So if they get the feeling that their team is potentially going to give up an explosive return, they'll take the 35 because they'll give their defense a chance. Also, you talk about the attrition of the season, and partly why this rule was so hard is it is hard to get through an NFL season 17 games. In an important play like that, you might have to put some starters out there. And then through the middle of the season, you get some injuries. All of a sudden, that 35 might sound better than playing your seventh linebacker or potentially giving up a big return because your depth is questioned on that unit. So it could go one of two ways. I know the NFL is going to monitor it during the preseason. Hopefully, we'll get some looks to see and practice it. But ultimately, we'll be able to navigate and adjust whatever happens.
When you watch practice, like what are you looking for?
This time of year specifically, I think there's certain players, you got your depth chart out that I'm looking for, and I'm trying to answer certain questions. Maybe something that I saw, on film that I had a question about that, hey, man, this guy, man, he seems like Zamiah Vaughn's a perfect example, right? Somebody who I think seems like just from a route anticipation, kind of understanding where guys are trying to attack him, feels better than it was already on college film. And and so getting to our coaches and seeing with the great work they're doing, hey, is this continuing? Is this something that maybe a small sample, or it's something that we might project going forward? Ultimately, this is a learning exercise. We're always trying to learn. So when I go out at practice, I try and narrow my focus so that I'm learning something. If you try and see everything, you see nothing, typically on a football field. Trying to make sure I go to one-on-one, say, hey, this player, is he working on a jump anchor or something? What are the coaches working on? And we have coaches, KO has a plan document that every day we kind of know what certain players are working on. So I'm trying to look at certain things like that. So just try and bridge curiosity to film, and then also be outside with people that I love being around football. It's a great experience.
Well, you mentioned Kevin OConnell. In what ways do you and Kevin inspire each other? So it's like when you guys do that kind of the background film session after the draft for members of the media, and it's a private deal, but you guys will take little shots at each other. It really is big little brother-esque, and I love it because I can tell that you guys really care about each other, but like brothers, you're not necessarily going to see everything the same way. And you both, have put a lot of work into your side of it. So therefore, when it comes to you two, you and Kevin inspiring each other, like how does he inspire you?
Yeah, I think it starts with a mutual admiration for each other. When I was younger, I used to, you go out with friends and maybe you'd be in a circle and somebody like, your friend's really cool. I'm like, yeah, I think so too. I'd want to hang out with him as well. And he's just somebody who fits that mold. It's somebody that, had I met at a different time in life, we'd be friends. Just positivity, how curious he is, how great of a family man is, his morals, just everything about him is something that I admire. There's attributes of myself that he likely admires as well, and so that's a ground foundation for that. But in terms of how he inspires me, I don't think people appreciate what kind of football mind we're talking about here. I think the other day I went into his office, and one of my favorite things to do is just pop into his office when he's watching film, and we don't both have time to do that all the time just because he's so busy and I'm so busy. But those would be some of my funnest conversations, and he'll run a play and I'm like, man, it's almost like a Princeton backdoor cut, and he'll immediately cinch on what I'm saying, and then show me 3 more plays that are like it, and then the conversation's all of a sudden at this level that I'm just like, that was so cool that I almost as a GM I'm appreciative that 15 minutes just happened in my life.
Wow.
And so that's kind of how our dynamic works, and like you said, we come at it from 2 different areas, but I think it's respect. It's mutual respect. Like, there's just levels of football that he's already taught me that I'm just so grateful for, and things that I've taught him that we're both grateful for. So in those moments where we come from our different flagpoles, there's that we go back to our little places and, okay, well, he's always teaching me about this, and then we come back the next day and we've come to some common understanding of it. Just grateful for the time we've had together, grateful for that first decision we made as an organization, and grateful that I'll get to be here a little while longer with him.
2 more for Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, general manager for the Minnesota Vikings from Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. The Isaiah Rodgers, and I'll never forget that I call it the oxymoron day. It's the legal tampering day. That Monday, the first day before free agency really begins on Wednesday. And everybody's talking about Milton Williams and what's going to happen to Trey Hendrickson and then Micah Parsons. Will they ever pay him? And Kwesi slides in with this sneaky little Isaiah Rodgers deal when everybody's talking about, and I'm not saying he's not a big name, but he's certainly not on the level of those guys. So they're clearly you, Flores, whomever, O'Connell, identified early. Let's not jack around with this. We want this guy.
Yep.
Why the big opinion on Isaiah Rodgers?
I think, obviously it starts with at the ground floor, our pro group. They do a phenomenal job led by Sam DeLuca. They kind of look at every team, potential free agents, and tell us the story. Obviously the year before he had been out and then went to Philly. And sometimes those part-time players are the best opportunities. Maybe if you just look at production, that's going to be weighted towards playtime. But he played behind some other guys. But when he played, what did it look like? And there was some stuff they saw, and they kind of elevated it to the Ryan Grigson. And Ryan Grigson will always be the most positive guy in the room. Once he starts loving a player, there's just this big shadow in my door frame that makes sure that I watch that player and study that player. And then you talk about our coaching staff, the collaboration. For me, whenever we get bets that personnel sees the upside and coaches really want to coach them, those are the guys we narrow in and really try and go get. You're not going to mess around over a penny here or there just because it's just not often that you guys see the value but also the upside on the same thing. He's such an easy mover, somebody that from an off-man coverage can really stay in front of guys, can run. You can tell he's confident. At a cornerback, you can tell when guys know they're not going to get run by. He's one of those guys. He can make plays on the ball. I think he can probably do a little better and increase his interception total, and then he'll be probably talking a different tax bracket the next time he's up on the market. But he's just somebody we're really excited about. You start learning about the person, and that gets you more excited, and we're glad we have him here.
Lastly, J.J. McCarthy. And I said it earlier in the radio show, and just all of this, I'm just really starting to think about in voluminous fashion. And there are a couple of things that from a lot of, I know you probably don't read a ton, listen to a ton, watch a ton. It's elevator music. If you do, it just has to be in that role. I understand that. But I think there are two things within our division that I think are being shortchanged. With the Bears, okay, I know what Ben did with Detroit. That's great. Hey, God bless you, man, and best of luck to you guys. Dennis Allen is a defensive coordinator. That doesn't get talked about enough because Dennis knows Dennis is good at what he does. So I think that's a little underplayed. Here, when people analyze McCarthy, it's not mentioned enough how smart the staff is. They're all smart, but specifically, the coach of the year calls the plays. So you guys are going to know where JJ gets himself in trouble at this stage of his life, and it's not always going to be that way. But you're able to construct game plans and approaches to not only protect him from things through which he's pushing, but also accentuate and amplify what he does do well.
Exactly right.
You see what I'm saying?
That's exactly right. And these are the things we were so excited about him when that boardroom, the first time we got to sit in the interview process, because we talked about these things. He's not just the head coach. He's not just the play caller. He's the chief developing officer, right? So all those things combined create a plan, not just a play call, but a plan for how he's going to attack. What does he do well? He's already, and I'm not going to be specific, but he's already talking about those very things and different things he's been trying to work through schematically to accentuate the things he does well. Because let me tell you, the arm talent-wise, there's some things he does from a great standpoint. The accuracy, when he wants to trust it and let it go, it's coming at you pretty good. So we're excited about that, and obviously we'll keep continuing to help him grow and learn at the things he needs to develop at, and that'll take his game to the next level. While his teammates, by the way, are uplifting and supporting him and giving us different options to move the football.
So what are you expecting to see from him in training camp? Like that Raiders game was a perfect snapshot. Terrible throw, my man. What are we doing? Oh, let's watch the rest of it. Holy cow, was he good. Most importantly, with the binoculars on him on the sideline, he shook it off.
Yep.
Yeah, so those are like nuance-related things that help teams win Super Bowls. So that's there. And you talked about the arm talent, right hash, left sideline. We've seen that. It's really good. What are you looking for outside of those things from JJ?
Similar dynamics, though, to make sure that the player, because it's not just the player, it's the person and the culture tentpole that he's going to be for us, the joy, the involvement with his teammates on the sideline, different things like that. I know he's going to show. He might not get as much time to play as much he did as in that last game. I think he'll play in that first game. But just like you said, you want to see improvement. You want to see, hey, that maybe that's a coverage that he saw in practice. This time he saw it and he didn't make that decision. And you guys might not see anything. It might maybe it's a throwaway, but we're going to see that, he saw that dropper that time or something like that.
Yep.
Just little things like that. Little
It's
moments.
raising kids, man.
It's exactly right.
It's surrogate, but it's raising kids, right?
It's 100%. You know, obviously Kevin's got a bunch of them, so he's pretty apt to the task. But no, that's what we're excited to see. Just little things that we know he's been working on. You know, certain types of throws. You know, maybe it might be a 3rd and 7 in a meaningless preseason game, but you'll see a type of throw that we were really excited to see him, and you'll see us fired up in the booth. That's what I'm so excited about this journey. We don't know what the end destination is, but those little things, those little moments are going to be what we look forward to, and we're excited to see them.
You're awesome, man. Appreciate you.
As always.
Thank you. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, General Manager for the Minnesota Vikings. We'll put a wrap on the show after this.